Hello, everyone. It's Sybil Starr here to give you some information about the Taurus full moon that is coming up. Um, that occurs on November 12th at 5:34 a.m. Pacific time. So you can then calculate it to your own time. And so the full moon, at the full moon, our emotional bodies are greatly expanded. The full moon touches so many things. It moves the tides, animal behavior. We know that hospitals and police stations say that everything is so much busier at that time when the moon is full. They always ask, is there a full moon when things kind of start getting crazy? The word lunatic comes from lunatic, related to the irrational behavior associated with the moon. And so it's a very emotional time. Our emotional bodies expand. And it even affects Mother Earth. Her surface expands 6 inches in response to the full moon. So it's a very physical and emotional phenomenon when the full moon happens. And so this full moon is in Taurus, the sun is in Scorpio, and the moon is in Taurus. There's always an opposition. So both energies are involved because the full moon actually reflects the light of the sun. So both energies are involved at the full moon. Okay. And also an intention is set at the new moon, which happened on October 27th, the new moon in Scorpio, and a seed is planted. And it is at the full moon that we start seeing the manifestation, the culmination, and we also have illumination and more understanding of that intention that was set and how it is manifesting in our lives. And so Scorpio, let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about Taurus and see how we integrate them at the new moon, or excuse me, at the full moon. Scorpio's journey is about emotion. It's about feeling. Scorpio comes in to feel every human emotion. So at the full moon, even though the moon is in Taurus, the sun is still in Scorpio, and so it could be a highly emotional time. And know that your emotions may swing back and forth like a pendulum. And so, but the Taurus piece really asks us to get centered, to get grounded, to recognize that our emotional body may be really big, but really ground that in your body and stay centered. And another term is earthed, staying close to the earth. Scorpio is very much about the inner journey. It's that, the ancient Egyptians believed that the inner world actually encompassed the outer world, that it was much larger and that it was limitless. So it's a time for some self-exploration, and probably it will be the emotional body that takes you into that. Emotions that make it triggered at this time and bring up shadow pieces of ourselves that we maybe don't want to look at or don't want to acknowledge are part of us. And when they show up, that's what they want, is to be acknowledged, to be embraced, and to recognize that you are many things and you're a walking paradox. Everyone is. And so loving the parts of yourself that you'd rather either project onto someone else or deny they exist, but understanding that this is actually a part of you that is about wholeness. Scorpio is very much about healing, and it is bringing us back to wholeness by integrating into ourselves, into our consciousness, the parts of ourselves we reject. So it is about loving and embracing those parts of ourselves. Scorpio is a time of deep emotional connection, wanting that connection with others, since it is a very emotional time. And with the full moon in Taurus, like I said, is very related to the body. So our emotional expression may require touch. that we want our bodies to be touched right now. So allow that to happen. But of course, touched in appropriate ways, because it is about self-love. And so it's not about just letting ourselves being be touched in ways that don't feel good or appropriate, but allowing ourselves to maybe ask for a hug if we feel like that is what we really need and want. Taurus, so Taurus is very much an earth-based sign. Or not based, it's the sign most associated with Mother Earth and with our bodies. And our bodies are the gift that we have been given by Mother Earth, and how we experience our consciousness, our true selves here on as we live in this incarnation on Mother Earth. So first of all, there is something I did want to bring up too, is at the new moon, the Uranus in Taurus was opposing that new moon, and that, and Uranus brings in a lot of change, and it feels like Mother Earth is really shaking us. And so can also be a trigger to bring up our shadow, to be able to release any baggage that we're carrying around. Because we know Mother Earth is moving into higher states of consciousness, and we are moving with her. And so it is really important that we release any baggage. Rick Tarnas says we're going through the eye of the needle, and to go through that eye of the needle, we can't be carrying stuff we no longer need. And Scorpio is a great time to release old stuff, and it is our emotional body that will bring it into consciousness. But back to the moon in Taurus, and the moon is also conjunct the asteroid Vesta, which is the priestess energy. So asking to be stewards of the earth and stewards of our bodies, taking care of our bodies, listening to them, and recognizing how our emotions impact our bodies and how we feel. And so really listening to our bodies as to what they need right now, what like you said, they may need touch, but also just may recognize you need to eat a healthier diet, or just recognize you need some comfort food, that you've been really pushing yourself really hard, and it is time to find a place of comfort and calm and serenity. Taurus is very much about that tree whose roots go deep down into the earth while the storm swirls around, and we're right in the midst of that. And so Taurus is asking us to stay grounded and rooted and centered within ourselves and to Mother Earth as the storm is swirling around us in the outer world and in our emotional body. And to know that we are going through a storm. It will pass, but it's also important to do our work. And to recognize too that nature heals, being out with Mother Earth as much as you possibly can, connecting with her, listening to her. Her consciousness is very close, and she's really trying to contact us to show us and guide us the way. She's one of our primary guides. And it's also, I feel like, that emotional connection to her as we remember she is our mother and we love her, and we want to stay with her. And it is as she is moving into these higher levels of consciousness, she wants us to move with her as well. But she is shaking. And so, it's just really important to stay connected to her and to love her. And the last thing I want to talk about is Mercury retrograde, because Mercury went retrograde, October 31st to November 20th. And all of the usual, alerts apply. Don't sign contracts if you don't have to. Sometimes you have to do things, and you just do things the best you can, and know that things may not go completely as planned, but they will eventually work out in a Mercury retrograde time. Anything to do with communication. But in Scorpio, it really feels to me like it's about going within again. The full moon is the time where we really want to connect and be with other people. And yet there's also this piece of saying to find some silence, to find some spaces in your life for that quiet, um, connecting to the inner world and in the silence. And another piece, I think, is to say only what needs to be said. Yes, it is a time to connect in the full moon energy, but know that not everything you think needs to be said, and not everything, even if it's true, kind of run it through, that filter. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And even then, it doesn't, may not need to be said. Um, and especially, um, things that are very significant and important to you, because when you share things that are significant and important to you with people who don't understand because they're just not on the same page, it's not that there's any fault with them, they're just not on the same page with you. It can really diminish your experience, such as a dream or you know something really significant like that. And then the last thing I want to say is that this still is the time when the veil is thin and the beloved dead are very close. And so I feel like with Mercury retrograde, it's also a time for remembering those that we love that have passed on, and recognizing that their energy is still present. Um, and it's just that their form has changed and the love is still there. And so remembering them, maybe, if you have an ancestor altar, or if not, just know that they are present and that you can talk to them, and maybe ask for guidance, and just know that they are close. All right. And of course, the full moon's energy really lasts for about 3 days. And starting today, which is November 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, that the emotions just simply may be very intense. And and to just stay centered and grounded and listen to your body as you move through this. All right. Have a wonderful full moon in Taurus.